What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into another edition of MVP Sports Live right here. You may be watching us on Twitch, you may be watching us on YouTube. However, no matter what you're watching us on, thank you for watching us today. This is the show where we go through all the biggest news in sports. We pick a sport each day, and then we talk about it with you. I am joined, as I have been for the last week or so, my beautiful co-host. You can finally see his face, Jake
Hello.
Neverman.
How we doing? How
are you doing, my guy? Happy Star Wars Day.
I'm doing. May the 4th be with you. I'm doing great. It's going to be a great show. We're going to wrap up the NFL draft season, and then we're going to head into the best draft season, the NBA draft season.
The question I need to ask you, though, I know that some sports fans who may be nerds might be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But did you leave out your chalky milk and your chicken nuggies for Yoda last night?
I didn't. Sorry.
You got to leave them out for Baby Yoda, or else the Force may not be with you today.
Yeah.
that little half pint size of chalky milk for him, about 4 nuggies. Give him a little kids meal there. But Jake did allude to, we are wrapping up draft season 1 of 2021. We then have draft season 2. One draft that I eventually thought of, I was like, eventually we should branch out into the MLB and the NHL drafts. Because we do.
You can handle the NHL.
I have plans. If I wanted to do the NHL draft, I have plans of who I would contact for that.
Yeah, I wonder who it would be.
But the MLB, is it even worth it to do and talk about the MLB draft in the future?
No, because you can hear my garage, but no, it's not, because genuinely, you won't see the prospects for 5 to 6 years probably.
Unless it's like a Chris Bryant.
Or maybe like a Spencer Torkelson or something like that. But you might see him this year, honestly, with some of the pitchers. But like the hitters, you're like, oh, great, we won't see them for 6 years. And then in 6 years, we can be like, see, I told you he hit 300 for a month. That's all it turns out to be.
But today what we are doing, Jake, is we're giving our draft grades. Every single team, we're going to give our grades, A through F, what we thought of each. Before we get into all of that, quick little housekeeping. Number 1, make sure to join the MVP Discord if you are not in it already. It is truly the greatest community in the universe, where us, and then the MVP family, all the fans, we're talking about NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, all different sports every single day. Your 24/7 connection to the MVP community. You can do that by clicking the link down below, or !Discord into Twitch chat gets you that link into Twitch chat right now. You click it, you click one more button, boom, you're in the MVP Discord. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids is one of the ways you can do that and get rewarded for doing so. You can also sub to us on Twitch and be rewarded like a bronze patron. Go check out the page to see the different reward tiers. Also, thank you to our Patreon sponsor, Pat Hill. We are live on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids. We are also on YouTube at MVP Sports. Schedule for the week: today's NFL. Soapy and Dave will be back tomorrow with NBA. Jake and I Thursday with MLB. And then Friday, Jake and Dave rounding out the week with NBA. It's back to a triple rock stop block, if that makes sense, of NBA action.
It might be Friday. Might be a great show. It might be start time. Dave and I might start talking about award predictions, because it's getting there.
Well,
it's getting there.
Here's the thing. I wanted to do MVP awards the last time Dave and I did it, but he's like, no. He's like, I don't want to do MVP unless Jake is on, because of Mr. Joel Hans Embiid.
Yeah, too bad that shit failed.
He's like, I need to talk about it with him. But Jake, let's start. How we're going to do this is we're just going to go down the draft order, or what the order would be, and kind of organize the teams that way. So the first team we're going to look at are the Jacksonville Jaguars. Coming into the draft, their biggest needs, and of course, I'm got to tell you guys this just so it's basically common knowledge out there. Trying to find the team needs that what they were before the draft is almost near impossible, because everyone's changing their shit for now. Like, oh, they drafted that, they don't need that. So I'm using the Ringers kind of draft guide for the team needs. Not a big deal. No, they don't. The team needs they had for Jacksonville were quarterback, tight end, defensive end, and safety. The Jaguars had an array of picks: Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne. Do not want to see that about Trevor Lawrence. So Lawrence, Etienne, Tyson Campbell, Walker Little, Andre Sisco, Jay Tolufli, Jordan Smith, Luke Farrell, and Jalen Camp. I'll start with you, Jake. What do you think of the Jaguars draft? What would you give it for a grade?
Yeah, I start off with their top pick. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, chalk. Everybody knew was coming. 25 was a little bit odd to me. I mean, we
Did you hear who they wanted at 25?
Yeah, I heard they wanted the wide
Florida.
receiver. Yeah, I can't think.
Tony?
Kadarius Toney. Couldn't even think of the name. Yeah, I'll give him a C plus. I think they were good. I question some of the later picks. I do like the Tyson Campbell pick. Investing at corner is always a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Walker Little at 45 was a little bit of a head scratcher to me. And then I mean, once you get past round 4, you're kind of just going for whatever with those picks. But the first couple, Trevor Lawrence, obviously, Tyson Campbell I like, Walker Little and Travis Etienne I did not like. So I give it a C plus. I think they made some good picks, and obviously they're in a way better situation than they were a year ago. Obviously, with Urban Meyer, it's a big question mark. We'll see how it figures out with them. But Trevor Lawrence is going to help the franchise regardless who else they have around him.
I mean, to me, I'm going to go a little like you said C plus, right?
Correct.
I'm going to go B minus. And the only reason I'm going B minus is obviously you get the number 1 ranked quarterback. I'm not going to say the best. Both you and I are on the Zach Wilson train. We think he's going to be the best quarterback out of this draft class. What?
Apparently my house is like a zoo. I don't know what's happening below me. It's 6 times in the last.
I see the face and I was like, "What? No, we're not on the Zach Wilson train anymore. We have jumped that ship."
Sorry, it's below me. Sorry.
But you get Trevor Lawrence. Okay, you walk into the best quarterback ranked in the draft class. Travis Etienne's not a bad pick. I always had the Jaguars mocked at getting him at the first pick of the second round. Like, the only thing keeping me from keeping this, like saying, okay, this was an A+ draft, is that second round, like the 2 second round picks. And the reason why I say that is now Tyson Campbell, he's no pushover. He's one of the top corners, could have been a first round talent, but like, I look at it and I go, look at the safeties that were there. Morig was still there. I think that would have been a high pick. Or any of the defensive ends that were still there. Like, I like any of the safeties, probably Morig would be the guy, or any of the defensive ends that you would get at that, number 32 pick, compared to all the other guys they got later, the defensive end and safety they got later in the draft.
Yeah, I wasn't too high on Jacksonville's draft. Like I said, Urban Myers is a giant question mark, and I don't know the philosophy exactly they're going with. His quote about his running backs that he sees Travis Etienne as a third down back is just a head scratcher. That means he took your third down back 25th in the draft. Doesn't make sense. I think
that's just trying to not lose confidence in the guys that are already there.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Their draft, it was good. It was solid. Walker Little was the only question mark to me. I'm not high on him as a tackle prospect at all. So taking him in the middle of the third was a head scratcher, to say the least.
Walker Little, they got middle of the second.
Yeah.
Just so people aren't confused there. Like, the guys that went after Walker Little, you had Bengals took an O-lineman, Asante Samuel Jr. Let's see what needs would have been there. I mean, maybe the edge rusher. You got an edge rusher out of Vanderbilt. You know who they should have picked instead of Walker Little there? Who the Steelers got with the 23rd pick in the second round, Pat Freiermuth. Because they needed a tight end. Unless they're going to bring in Timmy Tebow to be tight end. That's the plan. Bring in Timmy Tebow.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He's going to be the tight end. Let's move on into the next team down the pecking order. The New York Jets. Their entire draft, let me pull it up really quick. They get Zach Wilson at number 2. Then they get Elijah Vera Tucker trading up. They get Elijah Moore, Michael Carter the second, 4th and 5th rounders. Jamin Sherwood in the middle there. Jason Pinnock, they get Nasiribdeen, hope I'm saying that right, Florida State. Brandon Eccles out of Kentucky, Jonathan Marshall. What are your thoughts on the Jets, who had needs of quarterback, offensive line, defensive line, and cornerback?
Is there anything higher than an A+? Because I'm pretty sure this is what categorizes. This will be the only A+ you hear out of me the entire draft. Zach Wilson and then trading up for Vera Tucker is just absolutely killing the first round. Elijah Moore falling into their laps and them giving Zach Wilson a weapon. They've done more of it.
Tucker didn't fall into the laps. They had to trade up for it.
No, Elijah Moore.
Oh, Elijah Moore. Okay.
Vera Tucker they trade up for.
Yeah.
I just genuinely, they've done more for Zach Wilson in this draft than they did for Sam Darnold in 3 years. So it's just a great pick. Michael Carter in the 4th round is incredible value. The running back, not Michael Carter the 2nd and the 5th.
Yeah.
But listen, I really grade the draft off. If you get any late value, and then the first 4 picks are really what brings it down. So I genuinely like Michael Carter, Elijah Moore, Vera Tucker, and Zach Wilson is a fantastic young core to build around. And then, I even like Jason Pinnock in the 5th. I think it's good value as upside as a corner. I genuinely, it's the best draft out of anybody this year. Obviously, it's the Jets. We got to see how it pans out. But looking at it right now from an outside perspective, I'm pretty jealous of the draft that they had.
So I'm going to go A only because of one thing. I'm nitpicky about one thing when it comes to the Jets, and that's the running backs. Because the 2 running backs that they chose, I am not high on. I was higher, like the 2 guys that I would have targeted for them, and maybe Jet fans are all against me here. I like Chuba Hubbard and Kenneth Gainwell more. Chuba Hubbard went lower he went to Carolina at the 21st pick of the 4th round. Kenneth Gainwell goes to Philadelphia with the 6th pick of the 5th round. Those 2 guys, like especially Chuba Hubbard, because like you look at this Jets team and it's like right now, correct me if I'm wrong, their real like bruiser kind of a back is Frank Gore. Well, bad news about Frank Gore, he's fucking old as shit. Unless they even got rid of him. I thought he was still on the roster with them. But, like, that's the only question I have with the Jets is these running backs like Mike Carter II, even the other kid that I'm blanking on his name out of North Carolina because there were 2 of them. I think his last name was Williams. I'm just, like, I have question marks about those 2 guys because, like I said, running back was you had Najee, and Travis Etienne at the top. And then you had what I thought were diamonds in the roughs in Chuba Hubbard from Oklahoma State and Kenneth Gainwell. Do you have any problem with those running backs? Like, I know that you had mentioned your grade and everything, but, like, should they have gone with a Hubbard or a Gainwell over the 2 that they did? Or are you surprised they took 2 running backs? I'm kind of surprised they took 2 running backs.
Did they take 2 running backs? I thought they only took 1.
They did.
Who was the second one?
No, they didn't. Okay, I was confused.
Yeah, I was going to say they only took 1.
I was confused. I thought that the Michael Carter II kid was also a running back, but he's a safety. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Michael Carter in the 4th. I think Kenneth Gainwell is good, but I think he's a single play running back instead of being able to be a every down running back at his best. Yeah. I think Michael Carter has upside being an every down running back, and he's elusive. He's not really somebody who's going to break tackles and extend plays after initial contact, but he is somebody who has good enough hands.
So the Raheem Mostert to Salah's system.
Yeah,
I know he's a defensive coach, but you got to make the comparisons.
Yeah, something like that. I like his upside more for the Jets and their needs now than I like the Eagles. I think Kenneth Gainwell was a great pick. We'll get to that later, but. I think Michael Carter fits what the Jets need more now in terms of upside. So I agree with pick, and it's the 4th round, so it's taking a shot in the dark at that point.
Well, and the other thing I will say that I like is they used their first 4 picks on we're going to take Zach Wilson, and then we're going to help him out. We're going to protect him. We're going to give him a weapon. We're going to give him another weapon. All right, after those first 4, we're going to not solidify the defense, but we're just going to go all defense from there. We're just going to go whatever my specialty is compared to another coach that we'll get to in a second. But the next team did not have a first-round pick. They did not have a pick till the 3rd round. They made a total of 5 picks. Davis Mills, Nico Collins, Brevin Jordan, Garrett Wallow, and Roy Lopez. Houston Texans, what are you grading their draft? Not a lot of draft picks to go off of, and they needed literally everything.
Probably a D. There's not much they really could do. I like Davis Mills as like a project quarterback, but if Deshaun Watson's not going to play, he's going to get thrown right into the fire, and I don't like that at all. I'm not high on basically any of their prospects. Nico Collins is a very mad pick to me, and it wasn't high on him coming out of Michigan, and I'm still not high on him. Again, really the only pick that I like is Davis Mills, but with Davis Mills, I thought he was going to have to sit for probably 2 years, and then maybe you see a couple games out of him, maybe has some upside, but I just don't like their draft at all. D's probably being generous in my mind.
Do you think Deshaun Watson has 2 years left in him in Houston with everything that's going on right now?
He won't play. He won't play this season.
Now, is that because of all the shit going on with Deshaun Watson, or is that because of him not wanting to play for the Texans?
Yes.
Jake's like, either. Pick your poison.
I don't think any team's going to trade for him right now, obviously, with everything. We're hashtag off the field. Yeah. But hashtag on the field. He doesn't want to be on the field with the Texans. So I doubt that he plays at all this season for any team. Unless some team, for some reason, wants to give a value for him right now. But I don't see that happening.
Well, and also the other thing that I look at I would also... It's hard to get... Like, part of me wants to say flat out F. But here's the question I have is, can you, yet again, the ownership was there when the trade was made. Really, the thing that fucked them over was the Laramie Tunsil trade. Sending that pick to Miami for Tunsil, that proved to be the
really what did them in was trading DeAndre Hopkins for a second-round pick.
Well, that too. They would have got a first back.
I would like to say with my draft grades is I only give one A+, and I'm only giving one F. So I'm keeping everybody else in the middle. I'm saving the F for somebody else. If you don't know who it is, it's pretty easy to guess, but it's I'm going to give them because they didn't have a first or a second, so I can't blame them for that.
Here's my question with it is, it's not like a hey, this is a new ownership, new people that made the decision. The people that are in charge now were in charge when they made that decision. So can you hold them accountable for it? I think you can. That's why I almost want to lean like F.
They did hire a new GM. So this is a new guy making picks now.
Yeah, but wasn't it fucking Church Boy? Church Boy just got called up. Like, he was there.
No, he was with New England. They hired the guy from New England.
Okay. You're right. You're right.
They hired the guy from New England, but whatever it is, I give it a D because again, you don't have a first or second round pick. You can't really get crazy upside with the picks they had.
You bring up quarterbacks with Davis Mills. They kind of got unlucky with if they wanted quarterback, they had to trade up. Because you have Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Fields, Jones all go at 1. Second round, Kyle Trask is gone. And then in the third round, literally the pick before them, Kellen Mond, Vikings take them. Like, if they would have got Kellen Mond.
No, thank God.
If Kellen Mond would have went there, I would have been like, okay, that's the only salvageable pick.
I would have been like, for Kellen Mond's career, I would have been,
You don't think he could work in Houston, mainly because of that?
He'd have to start right away
as a whole.
Unless their whole organization's a fire, right? I feel bad for Texans fans, honestly.
Yeah, it always happens. Like, you get ebbs and flows in a franchise. Like, look at me in the '90s. I was as a kid, riding high. Now as a Bulls fan, I'm really down low. It's just ebbs and flows. Look at
mine's been like this.
TTP, you were down here for a while, but hey, never mind where you get up here.
Spiritually and morally, we were always up here. We were always up here.
Up here with AI, down here at the beginning of the process, back up here. It's just it's how it goes. Right. Vikings fans, we were kind of in the middle, and Kirk Cousins were up here. Now we're really down here because we don't like
the Vikings fans. Started like this with Brett Favre, and then went and then kind of leveled out for a year, and then it went
Yeah, it has not been that great. But next team, the Atlanta Falcons, coming in. They needed defensive end, cornerback, safety. Quarterback. They did not take a quarterback in the first round. They made the smart pick, taking Kyle Pitts. They did not take a quarterback the entire draft class. Some of the notable picks that I liked with them was they got Mayfield in the third. Didn't think he would be that low. I thought he would go in the second, offensive tackle out of Michigan. Also, Darren Hall in the fourth. I like that pick, cornerback out of San Diego State. Your thoughts on the Falcons as we rapidly move forward?
Yeah, I give it a C+. I think it's a good draft. I don't think they knocked it out of the park with any. Richie Mayfield, not Richie. I just combined their second and third round picks. Richie Grant in the second round was a little bit of a head scratch because Moberg was still on the board, but I do understand Grant because he has probably higher. He has somewhat of the same upside. Jalen Mayfield, I think, was a good pick in the third round, good value there. And then, in the first round, it's not really much to talk about. It was, again, a chalk pick for them. Kyle Pitts is a great target to have. And then they did end up, two offensive linemen is what they needed. And then you take a couple shots with somebody like a Richie Grant, a Darren Hall. So I think it's an all right draft. C+ is where I think it around what it should be.
I mean, I hate to kind of agree with you, but I kind of have to go in that C margin as well. Maybe even a C- because I have one big gripe with this draft class. One big gripe with what they were going with, because one of the biggest needs, first off, one of the biggest needs I think the Falcons have, also one of the most important positions anyone can have is pass rusher. To where I say every draft, the two important picks is locking down your quarterback of the future, locking down your edge rushers of the future. If you don't have either, you're not going to be a good football team. You got to have a quarterback and get after the quarterback. Those are just the cardinal rules in football. And they're sitting there at number 8 in the second round, and there are edge rushers there. I know the Owusu Koromora stuff came out that apparently he had a health issue,
a heart condition
that people are questioning. So I'm not gonna bash them for that, but I look at it and I just go, all right, you need even a defensive end. You need defensive end, and after their pick, what was that? Pick 8 in the second round. You had basically Basham was still there. Osani was still there. Ojulari, I believe, was still there. Out of Georgia. There were so many pass rushers. Ojulari would have been the guy I take there, because he, to me, had first round talent written all over him. That, to me, is my biggest criticism of the Falcons, is that they didn't go for the pass rush early. And I know, here's the big thing. People are going to grade talent differently. I'm going to say this a million times, where you and I grade talent differently. There were guys that you were high on. Justice Fields. I said Justice again. I meant Justin Fields. There are guys that I'm higher on than you. There are also guys that the Saints are higher on than both of us. But I mean, this is just something where maybe the Falcons saw more value in Richie Grant than they did Azeez Ojulari. But I just think, to me, I think that's an oversight, or a Morig, because I think he's better than what Richie Grant was. To me, I just feel like defensive end should have been the pick with their second one, and that they missed out by not going with the best edge rusher on the board.
Yeah, I could agree. I think the Falcons, their new GM is the former Saints head of scouting, and the Saints they've drafted well in some years, and in the past they haven't. So it's very a toss-up with their board past the first round. I think Kyle Pitts is the thing that just saves this draft class in general. Even though he was the chalk pick, he's such a talent that, I mean, regardless of how you grade talent, everybody basically had him in the top 5 when you're just looking at pure football players. He's just a great all-around player. Jalen Mayfield, I think, is a good pick. They didn't really reach on too many people. Yeah. I mean, so it was kind of a safe draft. I don't really question any of the picks. I think if Trey Lance had been there, that would have been the guy that I think they should go with at 4. But obviously, with him gone, they didn't take Mac Jones, so that kind of boosts him in my board.
Yeah. The next team, the Cincinnati Bengals. I have a gripe with them. I almost want to give them a C, just for one thing they did alone. They were sitting there in the second round looking pretty. JD was at work, a resident Bengal fan. And I'm like, oh, shit, they're going to go Tevin Jenkins. This is going to be the pick here. Oh, no, they gave the pick to Chicago to get some extra picks. And I get getting extra picks. But when a first-round talent who, for me, was around 19 to 22 off the board, maybe even 16 to 22, on a big board value, when you're getting that, at what pick did the Bears take Tevin Jenkins? Let me look up really quick. When you're getting that with the 7th pick in the second round, take it. I know getting extra picks, GMs love extra picks, but you're getting a guaranteed first round talent at, what would that be, 39 in the draft? Just take it. I think that was one of the biggest things with the Bengals, that I know later on they went with Carmen out of Clemson, but I looked at it and I went, they should have just taken Tevin Jenkins. He is going to be better than what Carmen is.
So what's your grade?
A C.
You didn't give a grade. C? Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree. I'd probably go B-. I think I think Jamar Chase in the first round, I don't really have many gripes with it because they did attack Jackson Carman in the second round. I think we can argue with Tevin Jenkins all day long. Tevin Jenkins, we'll get into this in the Bears part. Very question mark if he's actually going to be able to play left tackle in the NFL. But I think the Bengals got one of the best
but the Bengals just need offensive linemen.
Yeah, well,
they don't care what position he plays. Can you protect our quarterback? Yeah, you're in.
They took Deontay Smith and they took Jackson Carman, so I don't. They did it. They did address it. We'll see exactly where they play. Carman's kind of a flex between a guard and a tackle. We'll see if they stick him at right tackle. But Cameron Sample, their fourth round pick, one of their first of three fourth round picks, was one of the best value picks of the entire draft. I mean, he has the highest win rate of any defensive lineman at the Senior Bowl in one-on-one drills. He's a very, very talented defensive edge. And you see they lost Carl Lawson in the offseason. They add Trey Hendrickson, they add Cameron Sample, and they add Joseph Asai. It seems like they probably made up for that enough to be able to maintain where their edge rushing was last year. Jamar Chase is going to immediately help this team. I think a B- is fair. I think they had a pretty good draft. While I'd probably agree they should have taken Tevin Jenkins and just stuck him at right tackle, I don't think Jackson Carman's as bad as a pick as some people were making him out to be. He has a very good body of work from at Clemson, and he's a very talented tackle, and he can even flex a guard if they want him to. So I think they had an all right draft. I don't think it's anything great. I don't think it's anything too bad.
So the other thing, too, I wanted to hit last thing with the Bengals is basically with the Jamar Chase pick, that was the best pick of their draft, and they couldn't have fucked it up. And the reason why I feel like that was in hindsight now, that was the right pick over a Penei Sewell is look at how the wide receivers played out in the draft. Like, if let's say they would have taken Sewell with their first round pick, and then they would have got to, 7 in the second round, the top wide receiver would have been Rondell Moore. Like, I look at it and it's the wide receivers that were taken after that were Moore, you got Eskridge, Atwell, Terrence Marshall Jr. Like, none of the guys on this board, A, have the talent that Jamar Chase has. Yes. And B, are the same kind of, like, the big thing with the Bengals is a lot of the wide receivers in the draft class, I feel like mirrored T. Higgins. Where it's like you have two of the same wide receivers, where Jamar Chase gives you, like, the one comp I always wanted to make for him, even though it's not like a pure 100%, it's kind of like what type of receiver I think he'll be in the NFL, is that, like, Alshon Jeffrey type of receiver, where it's like, I got the big body. Joe, I'm going to be out there. Just fucking throw it up. I'll go get it. Just throw it up there. I'm going to use my body, use my long arms. I'm going to get the ball, bring it down, make sure we've got the possession. But I also have the skills to play the deep ball well. Everyone else, like Waddle, Smith, Tony, Bateman, Moore, and then the other Moore, all of them were more like speedsters compared to big-bodied possession receivers.
Yeah, I think if you look at Jamar Chase, I don't know if I've said this before, but he's like a better Amari Cooper is his upside. And Amari Cooper is one of the elite receivers in the league who is very good at one-on-one catches and being able to catch balls in traffic. And Jamar Chase is just a better version of him because he's a little bit more versatile as a receiver. I'm very interested to see this receiving core now. I hope Burrow has time to throw because T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase has the potential to be a very special wide receiver core. So I hope for the Bengals' sake and their organization that their quarterback can stay healthy and their offensive line can stay good enough because that receiving core is full of studs.
Next team, Philadelphia. They needed quarterback, tight end, wide receiver. Is what the Ringer said. To me, couple picks I liked a lot of picks out of them. Devonta Smith, good pick with the 10th overall, trading up to go get him. Landon Dickerson out of Alabama. Even fucking Kenneth Gainwell. You guys have heard me gush about Gainwell. I hope he does great things with Philadelphia. I almost look at the Eagles draft and go, B. It's a B draft. Like, it's a good draft. There's not many, like you said, with other drafts. There's not many reaches. There weren't a lot of, like, head-scratching moves of, like, wait, what, him? Or like, him over him? Or, like, him this soon? Like, they've got, to me, I think Gainwell was a steal at 5. I think Landon Dickerson is going to be a good pick. You shore up that O-line with your second overall pick in the draft. And like I said, we talked about this on Friday, but moving up for Devonta Smith, like I was so worried that the Eagles were going to move up and take a cornerback with their first round pick, and I'm glad they didn't, earning their B grade from me.
Yeah, I think they had incredible value in a lot of their picks. I genuinely think that. I mean, they just had a really interesting draft. Finally, being aggressive and going up and getting a wide receiver like a Devonta Smith to help out a Jalen Hurts is huge for them. I think actually the steal of their draft. Well, I'm also high on Kenneth Gainwell. Is Patrick Johnson in the 7th round was like top. He was top 100 on most people's boards, and to fall all the way to 234.
Do we know why he fell?
No, I mean nobody really knows. It was literally just a value pick, I think. And then Landon Dickerson, if he was healthy, would have been a high first-round pick. So, I mean, altogether, 4 picks I absolutely love, and Patrick Johnson, Kenneth Gainwell, Landon Dickerson, and Devonta Smith. I think that the Eagles knocked it out of the park. I think I'd give it a B plus probably actually. So I think a B plus is fair for them. They had a very, very good draft, and I think finally Eagles fans can tip their cap a little to Howie and be like, we finally did something good.
The other thing that I'm happy that they didn't do, is take a quarterback at all. And I know that we were talking about how the quarterbacks kind of went on a run with like after the first round, it was like boom, 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 boom. The next quarterbacks kind of went before the 3rd round. But like there was a thought in my mind that like if Kellen Mond is there or if Davis Mills is there, like that the Eagles would take it because I was questioning coming into the draft, what's the word I'm looking for? What is their confidence in Jalen Hurts? And there's a lot of people off the Jalen Hurts bandwagon. I am on it. I like Jalen Hurts. I've liked Jalen Hurts from the beginning. But I feel like a lot of people are off the bandwagon. Are they going to take a quarterback? And I was happy to see that they didn't touch quarterback at all in the draft.
Yeah, I'm very mad on Jalen Hurts. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't really have an incredible amount of faith in him. But I think he could be an NFL quarterback. I don't think he's ever going to be an elite one. So that's kind of like mad on him. If they could have taken Justin Fields, I would have. But I get why they didn't with Devonta Smith. So I can't fault them for it. I don't know where I stand on Jalen Hurts as of now, honestly. It's more of a question mark than anything else for me.
Yeah. The next draft we'll take a look at the Detroit Lions. And this one,
Detroit basketball.
I'm going to go C+, even though there's only one thing keeping me from loving this draft from the Lions is the fact that, so one of the big things I thought they needed, obviously when Penny Sewell was there at 7, you had a choice. I thought that they were I bought into the rumors on Micah Parsons. That was my fault. Wide receiver was also a big one. Devonta Smith, I think, would have been a good pick there for them. Penny Sewell is also a really good pick. So it's like they didn't screw up at 7. But then I look at it, and it's like, okay, basically they then, everything except for the 7th round in Jefferson, the 4th round in St. Brown, and Penny Sewell with their first-round pick, they went all defense. The only question I have is they go St. Brown out of USC, wide receiver, in the 4th round. Let's see. 2nd round, they had the 9th. 3rd round, they had the 8th and the 38th. I almost look at it and I go, what was wrong with a Rondell Moore? What was wrong with a Terrence Marshall Jr. to where, they didn't want any of these wide receivers that we all had highly ranked on our boards, even if it was high 2s on our draft boards, to where they waited all the way until the 4th round to take a wide receiver, a position that I think they direly need because of this offseason. And now, where is the help besides TJ Hawkinson for Jared Goff? Who's he supposed to throw to?
Well, first off, I don't think the Lions are aiming to be good this year, so I don't think attacking a receiver when there wasn't an elite one available at their pick.
Rondell Moore, I think, he's somebody to where it's like, do I think he's going to be a surefire pick? No, but he's always been something to where I'm like, if he focuses and he's somebody that works hard, he can fucking hit in the NFL. I just don't know if he will or not.
I think Levy, I'm not saying his last name, out of Washington. He didn't play last year, obviously, but he has incredible potential to be an elite pass rusher at the next level. McNeil is the same thing. And then Melifonwu, I mean, the corner out of Syracuse has the exact body you want to have any corner coming into the NFL. He has real physical attributes. So he just doesn't play to his size sometimes, and that can be fixed pretty easily when you get to the NFL.
Especially when you got Motive City Dan Campbell as your head coach.
This is one of the drafts that I loved. I'd give him an A-. I think I think they're attacking and building from the inside out, which is exactly what we all expected from Dan Campbell. And I love St. Brown, the value in the 4th round. I mean, he's not going to be an absolute stud receiver, but I think he has potential to be a very solid one for a long time. And I agree with them not attacking receiver early in the draft because they have so many needs that getting a guy like Penei Sewell is somebody you can start building around and building. If you can build a solid pass rushing game and a solid offensive line, you can win just with those two things. So I completely agree with most of their picks. I just think we'll see in the next 2-3 years how he builds this team out from the ground up, basically.
The next team, I said C, right, for the Lions. I believe I said my
something like that. Yeah.
The next team, Carolina. I actually have the biggest gripe with them. I almost want to give them a D, and the reason why is I know they had a lot of picks, and people are going to say, Ricky, when you've got a lot of picks, there's a lot of chances for potential. And I do love Chuba Hubbard. That's one pick later, like day 3, that I really liked from them because of how high I am on Chuba and his skills. But the one thing I cannot get around with the Carolina Panthers is Matt Rule and his basic disregard for drafting offensive players in the first round. Since he has been with Carolina, he has never drafted an offensive player in the first round. And like sitting there at 8 when Penei, like that's something to where it's like Penei Sewell went the pick before them. I'm sitting there going, all right, Rashawn Slater's the guy here. You have to protect Sam Darnold. And I get it. J.C. Horn is a very good cornerback prospect. He was rising as of late. But like the thing I look for me is they get Brady Christensen in the 3rd round out of BYU. That was their first tackle. Yeah, I know they went with Deontay Brown out of Alabama, but that's a guard, not a tackle. I almost feel like they should have went Rashawn Slater at 8. Then with that 3rd round pick, take whatever the best corner is. I would have went best offensive line, skimp out on the corner a little bit because of what this team is doing with their quarterback. You saw the Jets didn't help Sam Darnold, and look at how that turned out.
Yeah, I don't mind the J.C. Horn pick, but I would have taken Justin Fields. I'll harp on this all day long. I've done it all the draft. I also, just to correct you, because I think it's gone on long enough, it's Chuba Hubbard, not Chubba, just so you know. It's Chuba, because that was a big thing.
Chubba. Because he gives me a chubby.
Oh, God. I think Terrace Marshall in the 2nd round was good value. I love J.C. Horn as a prospect, actually. He was one of the guys I wanted the Saints to move up for, and they were trying to.
Like, it's not a bad pick. Like, talent-wise, it's not a bad pick at 8. I just feel like the need was somewhere else, and B, I would rank Slater higher than Horn on my big board.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't. But I think that this team, again, people want teams to attack every need right away, but sometimes the talent on the board is more specific, is more relevant than the actual need. And this Panthers team isn't going to compete this upcoming year, and I think most people know that. So taking a guy like J.C. Horn and maybe next free agency or next draft attacking a tackle is more of the move for them. I think they had an all right draft. I think I'd give it a C. I think they're right in the middle. Again, I think it would have been way better if they took Justin Fields with their first pick and actually got a franchise quarterback instead of being on kind of the
like I told you, they're not gonna trade for Sam Darnold and then draft a quarterback.
I'm not telling you what they were going to do. I'm just telling you what they should have done. And they passed on Justin Fields, and they'll regret it. And Bears fans will love it. Except we'll get into the Bears; they're weird. Yeah. I think it's a C. I think it's an all right draft. Didn't knock me out of the park. Didn't really hurt themselves when they picked up.
I look at it and I go, yet again, if you were telling me J.C. Horn and then Christensen like they did, or let's say Slater and then Paulson Adebo, I'd take the second one. Like that's I would take Adebo in the 3rd.
He's mine.
I get that, but like the 3 corners that went right after because they would have had the 6th pick in the 3rd where they went tackle. Aaron Robinson went the pick after at 7 to the Giants. Then with the 10th pick in the third, Benjamin St. Juste out of Minnesota, and then Paulson Adebo at 12 to the Saints. I would have taken any of those guys plus Slater instead of what they did in J.C. Horn. Because I feel like with this team, protecting Sam Darnold is the most important thing, because it's already been proven Sam Darnold can't do it on his own. Not many quarterbacks can. And you're basically hurting yourself because Matt Rule wants to laser focus on defense, because I get it, you're a defensive coach, but sometimes you got to worry about the offense. Next team we'll take a look at is the Denver Broncos, the team that apparently could be getting Aaron Rodgers, Jake. Everything I hear, it's either the 49ers or the Broncos that are getting Aaron Rodgers this season in a trade.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that. I think I think they did pretty good for the most of their picks. I don't know where I'd probably give them a C+. I think that Jamar Johnson late in the 5th round was one of the best value picks of the draft. Javonte Williams, the running back out of North Carolina, early in the 2nd round, another solid pick. And then Patrick Surtain is going to be was my number 1 rated corner out of this draft. So I think it's a very good draft. I don't know if they knocked it out of the park with anything. I'd probably stick with a C+. I like Baron Browning too out of Ohio State. I just think it's a solid draft. I don't think it's anything that knocks you out of the water or anything like that, but I think it's solid.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go B-, and the reason why is I love Surtain at 9. That was the BPA. That was the pick that I had mocked to them basically forever. It was just best corner available with your pick. Like Williams, he was the other one that I was talking about with Carter, where it's like, I don't know how I feel about the North Carolina running backs, but like they're another team to where it's like nothing seems like a reach. Didn't seem like they did anything crazy. I know the Ringer profile says that they had a need of quarterback, but there's a part of me that goes, was this big article put out before the Teddy Bridgewater trade?
Oh, yeah. Let me also think. I'm actually going to downgrade to a C because they also passed on Justin Fields. So I had to downgrade them to a C as well.
So every team that passed on Justin
Correct.
Fields.
Well, every team that passed on Justin Fields that needed a quarterback.
See, But here's the thing, and yet again, I will fight you on this, is the Broncos and Panthers didn't need a quarterback.
Yes, they do.
No, they didn't. Like
if you have a chance to upgrade at quarterback to a better potential quarterback than you currently have, which Justin Fields has better potential than Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, and Sam Darnold combined, then you take Justin Fields when he was sitting there.
I will not fight you on that logic, but the thing that goes into it is if I am going to give up picks to get a quarterback, I'm not then going to draft a quarterback, because I will say that probably the way you should word it is they shouldn't have traded for Teddy and just taken Fields.
They could have traded for Teddy because they gave up a 6th round pick to get Teddy. It's not like they're giving up a lot of value to get him. He's a back. I genuinely think Teddy's there to be a backup quarterback. That's what it is. So
I mean, but you know what the Broncos do, like the Aaron Rodgers stuff, like the rumors with Aaron Rodgers. No. But if it does happen and Aaron Rodgers comes to the Broncos, that's what the Broncos do. They don't take the rookie quarterback. They wait until the aging quarterback gets frustrated.
Okay, they did it once. They did it once, and then they won a Super Bowl, obviously.
That's what they do, man. That's what Elway does. Elway doesn't like rooks, man. He don't like to teach quarterbacks.
No. Elway can't draft quarterbacks correctly, which is why he has to try to steal the old ones.
And then when they do draft a good quarterback and he gets frustrated with losing, they trade him to the Bears.
Exactly.
And they just get rid of him. But yeah, I'll say B-. Like, I'm not going to harp on them for passing on Fields because I don't feel like they needed a quarterback. Plus, I like Drew Lock and think that Drew Lock gets a bad rap for no reason. Jake, how about the Cowboys? What are you feeling about their draft? They had a litany of picks in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they drafted my hometown kid and Micah Parsons number 1 in the 1st round, and they couldn't have passed on Justin Fields because they traded back, and they don't need a quarterback. So I like their draft overall. Taking Jabril Cox was early in the 4th. He's one of the best players available on day 3, if not the best. So it's a good pick. I don't know if I'm in love with a lot of their picks. I think that Kelvin Joseph is a very solid one there in the 2nd rounds. I think it's a good pick. I think B- would be where I stand with them. Again, solid draft. nothing knocking out of the park. I think Michael Parsons really helps solidify that linebacking core, though, and now they don't have to pay. Why can't I think of his name? Van Der Esch.
Yeah.
They don't have to pay Van Der Esch if he doesn't come back again this year and isn't solid. And now looking at with Jalen Smith and Micah Parsons, that is a fierce linebacking core to have to deal with.
So this one's very simple for me, B-. And the only reason why it is a B- is you look at every one of their picks except for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, all defense. Like Jerry didn't say, ooh, I like that wide receiver here in the second round. We're going to go ahead. Ooh, that wide receiver here at number 12. We're going to go ahead and take him because I really like him. Ooh, Najee Harris. Zeke
I'm surprised he didn't just take Devonta Smith just to screw the Cowboys and the Eagles. Be like, no, Devonta Smith, we need him, man.
Instead he's going to work with the Eagles so they can both fuck over the Giants. But yeah, like I was harping going into the draft, this team needs defense. And Jerry went, hey, we're just going to load up on defense. We're going to load up on all the defense. And are all these picks going to hit? Probably not. But hey, you're throwing a ton of shit at the wall trying to buff up that defense for Mike McCarthy. What about the New York Giants, the next team? They only had 6 picks in this entire draft.
Yeah, I think this is one of my favorite drafts, even though they only had a few picks. I think getting Azeez Ojulari in the second round with, again, great value, first-round talent for most people. You get him at 50. And Kadarius Toney is a perfect fit into this receiving core. You add him with Kenny Golladay, Saquon Barkley, and hopefully Daniel Jones has a solid year. I mean, Kadarius Toney is that guy who can just give the ball and he extends plays. That was what everybody thought he was going to be. People said it was a reach, and clearly it wasn't because the Jaguars are going to take him 5 picks later. So I think it's a great job by Joe Judge and the guys in New York. I'd give it a B+. I think it's a great draft. And Aaron Robinson in the 3rd round, I think, again, very nice value with the cornerbacks in this draft. So I think the top 3 picks they knocked out of the park. Yeah,
I mean, with me, I'd say B+, only because of the first 2 picks alone, where Ojulari fell right into their fucking laps. The way they handled the Devonta Smith went before us, because most teams would have panicked and been like, all right, what's our secondary need? Let's go ahead and take it. Nope. They had some feelers. They talked to the Vikings. They talked to, I believe, the Saints. They talked to the Chicago Bears. They worked out a trade. They were able to get a wide receiver later in the draft while getting some additional picks for the team that they were trading with to move up. Like I absolutely love it. Like I love Toney. I love Ojulari. Ojulari, I think, is a fucking steal for them. Because he should have for sure went in the first round. You were getting them in the second half of the second round. Next team, we're just gonna, because my ringer thing keeps just uploading, we're just gonna go alphabetical order through the rest because we've been talking for about 40 minutes, going for a while. The Bears, A+, simple. They get Justin Fields, they get Tevin Jenkins, they trade up for the quarterback of their goddamn future. Bears fan, like, Chicago is still buzzing, Jake. Still buzzing. And they get offensive tackle, a top 20 prospect at 39 in the second round. Ryan Pace finally did it. Chicago's happy. A+ draft.
Yeah, I only can give 1 A+, so I'm going to give him an A. I can't go all the way up. I already gave it to the Jets, but I think, and I'm going to make this rant again we've now mentioned it for the 3rd time on the show, is that Ryan Pace made the pick that everybody wanted, so if this doesn't work, which I believe it will, don't be calling for Ryan Pace's head because it's not his fault.
Yep.
Also, they also just released Charles Leno, their left tackle, and now I guess they're going to move.
Garbage. Rubbish.
I project that he's garbage. He's not. He's an average offensive lineman, which for the Bears is a good thing because their offensive line is not average. And now they're going to slide Tevin Jenkins over to left tackle, I assume, which most people had him graded out as a right guard or a right tackle. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out. Hopefully they throw Andy Dalton behind that line for the first couple games so Justin Fields doesn't have to get hit by it. I've gushed over Justin Fields enough. This Bears get an A just for being the one team that wasn't stupid enough to pass on him.
Do you see what Bears fans are doing with their Trubisky jerseys?
Oh, does he wear 10?
Yeah, he wears 10. So they're scraping off the 0 and then taping Fields over Trubisky.
Just order a jersey, people. Come on.
They're like scraping off the 0, so it's like oddly placed 1 and then taping over with white and just writing Fields on the back of it. The next one, I'm not sure how I want to grade it because I like their first 2 picks. Second off, this team seems to always take a wide receiver in the second round. They've got a great, like the way that Gil Brandt, if you're not following Gil on Twitter, you should. He's a great former scout in the NFL. Said that, so we're talking about the Cardinals. They went Rondell Moore in the second round. He says, you look at that wide receiver room, and it's Larry Fitzgerald, A.J. Green, DeAndre Hopkins. He's like, in his first year, Rondell Moore is going to get a PhD in receiving. His first year in the league. What grade would you give the Cardinals? Because I feel like I want to overgrade them just for their first 2 picks because I love Zaven Collins.
Again, I've talked about this corner class being very good to invest in, and Tay Godwin in the 6th round was surprising to me that he was still there. Zaven Collins, I wasn't very like I like Zaven Collins a lot. I thought 16 was a little bit too early, and then I heard that phone call, and I'm like, should have taken him number 1 overall. Yeah. He's just a stud. He's gonna get a ring. He's gonna get a ring so big a show dog couldn't jump over it. I took the choice words that he had out there that sentence, but I think genuinely it's a great draft. Again, I'd give it a B+. I think
how many MFers did he drop until he got to the owner? And I was like, yes, sir.
7.
Yes, sir.
I think genuinely it's just they did absolutely phenomenal. Like they usually do. The Cardinals are usually a great drafting team. So I think Zaven Collins, Rondo Moore helped them a lot. Marco Wilson and Tay Godwin both have the opportunity to turn into quality starting corners. So I think it's great. I think it's great for everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a B. I like the first 2 picks. That's mainly it. I love Rondell Moore. I love Zaven Collins, especially after that GD phone call with him. The next team we're going down, Baltimore Ravens. Jake, what do you think with the Ravens?
I think it's solid. I don't know if I think Sean Wade is the big pick with them. I guess I keep harping on the corners.
He used to be a first rounder in like the 1.0s.
And also, Tylan Wallace falling to 131 was a shock to me. I couldn't believe that he was still there in day 3. And of course, the pick before the Saints, he went. So it's just, I think he's absolutely great value. I love Rashad Bateman. I think they have every single type of receiver now in this team. And Odafe Owe, if people don't know now, he's going by his actual first name. So it's Odafe Owe, just so that everybody can actually know who we're talking about.
The first one, the first time we were calling him what? Jason? Was that it? Was it Jason?
It was his middle name. Okay. It was his middle name that he was going by. Yeah, I think. But Odafe Owe, I think late first, great pick. Rashad Bateman was the pick everybody was hoping they would make, and they did. So I think it's a B+ also. Very solid draft. Very good late value with Tylan Wallace and Sean Wade.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a B. There weren't, like, yet again, this is another one where it's like, I got nothing sexy to say about it. They made some good picks. Sean Wade, I think, will be interesting. Was he a first rounder by the end of the draft? No. But obviously there are some things in him where people saw that he could be a first round talent, especially earlier on. But the more we nitpick things, we kind of knock guys down. I wasn't upset with anything the Ravens did. Next team, though, the Buffalo Bills, A. Just solid A across the board. Gregory Rousseau is going to be the steal of the first round. Mark my words on it. Everyone bashing Rousseau. Like, Rousseau, everyone went from top 10 pick to not even a first rounder so quick. It ain't even funny. We're going to look back at this draft and go, holy shit, how did they get Gregory Rousseau at 30 and then Carlos Basham Jr. at basically 29 in the second round? They basically got, in my mind, 2 effing first rounders with their first 2 picks in the top 60.
I give him a D. I think they took a better pass rusher the second round than they did in the first round.
Man, they took a top 10 guy at 30 and a top 20 guy at.
I have been low on Gregory Rousseau since the start of the draft process. Great frame, terrible technique, terrible hands, terrible feet.
You can teach that though. You can't teach size.
Cool, and I'll believe it. I'll believe it whenever I see it. I think Carlos Basham's a great pick. Didn't really love any of their other picks. Tommy Doyle's all right in my mind. I give it a D though. I think they did. I think they did very meh.
And I love how. Here's the thing I love, by the way. Everyone, because there are people like you that go, I don't like his technique, his fundamentals. It's like, you do know Gregory Rousseau now is going to one of the best defensive coaches in the league, right? Like, he gets Sean McDermott to basically be like, let me mold you into what I want. That is why I'm so high. Like, Gregory Rousseau, if he went to a bad team, I'd be like, oh shit. But like, I think his fit on the Buffalo Bills is going to be great. Him and Basham they're going to grow up into the Bash brothers. That's what they're going to be. Basham and Russo, the Bash brothers, bring out, you know how the U had the turnover chain?
Yeah.
We need Bills Mafia to have the sack chain because they're just going to be trading it off left and right. The sack train's going all the way down with the sack chain. How about the Cleveland Browns? What do you think about their draft?
See, this was one that I fought with for a while because
they took our boy Owusu Koromora.
I know. I think they had a great draft. Honestly, this is one I'd probably give it an A-. I think Anthony Schwartz in the 3rd round was a sneaky good wide receiver pick,
and you can't hate him because they took Fields.
They didn't take Fields. They took Owusu Koromora.
Tony Fields the second.
Oh. Okay, back. I think Greg Newsome, again, this corner class I really liked, honestly. The safety class I hated. The quarterback class I really liked. I think Greg Newsome and Owusu Koromora, the first 2 picks, they were one of, if not the best duo picks for first 2 picks in this entire draft from a team. I think genuinely it was one of the best draft classes.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing for me is they just needed defense with that 1st round pick. They didn't really need an edge rusher. I would say like a B-. Like, outside of those first 2 picks, nothing really speaks to me, but it's not like a, oh my God, they really fucked up this pick, or oh my God, why didn't they take this guy instead of that guy? Just kind of like a, all right, you did well, Cleveland. Now let's see what you can build on. Now the interesting one, Jake. The Green Bay Packers. Like, this to me, I'm going to take it to start. I know we had the argument before the draft, and I did bring up you gotta build a defense to have with Aaron Rodgers, but like this was the draft with all the wide receiver talent that we had at the top. It was prime for them. Like, and the wide receiver they chose, they didn't even get one of the good wide receivers. They got what's his name? Amari Rodgers out of Clemson, who nothing wrong with Amari. He's a great guy, I bet. But to me, I felt like they needed one of those top wide receivers. And instead, they decided to take Eric Stokes out of Georgia with their 1st round pick. Just on that alone, I'm giving them a D because I feel like the way this organization works, they are blatantly fucking up their chances of keeping their franchise quarterback and potentially winning in the future. If you're in Green Bay, say hello to Jordan Love because he's going to be your quarterback of the future.
I don't think the top-rated offense in the NFL for the past 2 years needed to draft another receiver. Well, their corners outside of Jaire Alexander were one of the worst corner groups in the NFL. I'm not in love with Eric Stokes as a prospect, but I get why they picked him. And I really do like the pick of Josh Myers in the 2nd round, too. Amari Rodgers needs to develop his route running. He's one of the quickest and most dynamic receivers in the class. We just don't know about his upside because of his route running inability. So hopefully he can develop that. I'd probably give it a C+. I'm not in love with Stokes, but I like the need that they attack. They definitely needed to attack the cornerback issue because Jaire Alexander, outside of him, that secondary has been pretty atrocious the last couple of years. But besides out of that, it's kind of a med draft to me, just a C+.
Would you not, like the same thing I said for the Panthers could be said here? Would you not have attacked wide receiver in the 1st round, and then they could have, like all the cornerbacks I mentioned with the Panthers, they could have also got them. So like a D, but like I know that it's like, oh, everyone can't think the same way, but like they could have hit cornerback later and still got a good cornerback. To like me, where it's like, I feel like this wide receiver core, Dave and I, every single fucking week, we're bitching to where it's like, well, if Lazard's out, MVS is a piece of shit. Dave hates him. If Devonta Adams is out, it was like, good luck finding a wide receiver besides Big Bob Tunyon for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. I feel like people are being like, oh, well, it was a top-rated offense. It's a top-rated offense because of Aaron fucking Rodgers. That's why it's a top-rated offense. Not because of anything around him. Because of him basically having I'm putting my big dick out there and having an MVP-like season to spite the Packers. Maybe they're hoping it happens again, but I don't see it. I think he's done.
I think if Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, like people said, he should be able to work with subpar receivers. I've said it over and over again.
He worked with them. They just got a little bit screwed over in that game against Tom Brady because, Bucks always get the call.
Correct.
The next team, I love their first-round pick, but the Colts, how you grading their draft? They hit on all the needs.
I mean, yeah, they literally had one huge need on defense, and it was edge rushing and Kwity Paye and Dio. I mean, they attacked it. I really do like their draft. I'd probably give it a B-. I don't think it's absolutely like incredible or anything like that, but I think it's a very solid draft. Even like Sean Davis in the 5th round, I thought was a pretty good pick. So they didn't have a ton of picks, but early in the draft. So 4th round on, you kind of taking shots in the dark. I like the Sean Davis pick. Kwity Paye and Dio, though, I think it's great back-to-back picks in the first 2 rounds. It's exactly what they needed to attack.
So there's one thing I'm giving them a B+, but the thing I'm kind of making fun of Colts fans for is, so every time I had them picking quarterback before they traded for Carson Wentz, I heard to the moon and back about Jacob Eason. Like, people thought I forgot who Jacob Eason was. Basically, it was what you'd get if you looked at the comment section. So my biggest thing is because they took Sam Ehlinger in the 6th round, when Carson Wentz is done and Jacob Eason doesn't pan out, am I going to be hearing from Colts fans that we don't need to draft another quarterback? We got Sam Ehlinger. He's the guy. He's the guy, the future guy.
I genuinely think they think, oh, Carson's going to get hurt, so we're going to need a backup quarterback to Eason whenever Wentz gets hurt. So let's just take Ehlinger and have 3. I mean, you need 3 quarterbacks, but yeah I mean, white quarterback to the Colts because you've written up any better.
What about Kansas City? I look at this and I go, yet again, B+, A- if you want to sit in that round. Like, I like Nick Bolton, Creed Humphrey in the 2nd round as late as they got him. That's a steal because I could have seen him going higher 2nd round. Like, this is something to me where it's like, all right, the Chiefs just hit on picks, and they're yet again going to go back to the Super Bowl probably.
This is what, I mean, it's not much to say. This is what a great organization does. Like, even for the picks they had an A-, Nick Bolton, Creed Humphrey, absolutely phenomenal picks for them. It's just, again, an organization that knows what they're doing and knows their identity, continues to build great team after great team.
Chargers, what do you think? Besides Slater, they did get your boy Samuel Jr.
Yeah, they did get my boy Asante Samuel Jr. They literally, I mean, just because of taking Rashawn Slater and Asante Samuel, they're going to get an A from me. I think it's a great 1-2 pick. They finally they attacked their exact needs and what their rumors were when they were. I mean, they've been rumored with Asante Samuel and Rashawn Slater for a while, so I think it's great back-to-back picks. I like Josh Palmer too, so I think they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, B+. Like, yet again, it's one of those where a lot of these is like, oh, it's a B+. It's a good draft. Like, nothing upsetting. Rashawn Slater was obviously the pick. They couldn't have fucked that up there. When Carolina made their pick, the Chargers already in the draft, like in the war room, had to be high-fiving. Yep. It's like, yes, we're going to get Rashawn Slater. What about the Rams? No first-round pick, but they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total picks through 2nd through 7.
It's a very meh draft to me. I don't really like Tutu Atwell. Don't really like Ernest Jones. I honestly, I'd probably give it a C-. I don't really. Yeah, I think a lot of these drafts, I don't think many teams had bad drafts. It's going to be how the prospects develop. I just meh. I don't really have I don't have any in-depth analysis with the Rams. It's just kind of it was all right. They didn't have a first round pick. They're going to be a very good team this year, and they know how to run their offense. So maybe Tutu Atwell can fit it right into it.
So you say that, but then we have the next team who gets a D from me, blatantly from the reach they had at number 1, because they are run by a man who wants to be the smartest guy in the room, who is an idiot when it comes to a draft expert. I could probably do his job better than he does. Oh, wait, that's right. I do his job better than he does because my mock drafts are better than him year in and year out. And that's the Oakland Raiders. Like, Alex Leatherwood was a reach. They kind of, like, the only thing not giving them an F here, Jake, saving them from that F, is getting Morig at 11th in the 2nd. Like, having him fall and not fucking up that pick was like, okay, maybe they don't deserve an F. They deserve a D. Like, this is a team that this is just the Raiders, though. They're going to reach on the guys. They're going to take the guys that they want, and then they're going to continue to be like, why isn't our organization winning? I wonder if it's because of the guys that you're drafting and bringing in.
I saved my F for one team, Ricky. And the F is going to the Las Vegas Raiders. It's terrible. I don't even think Mo Rig redeems it taking Alex Leatherwood in the first round. I genuinely don't understand the drafts. I understand late in the draft they just took swings on secondary players because that's desperately what they need. Mo Rig's a solid pick. And besides that, F, terrible draft. They do it year in and year out. They deserve this F, and there's nothing else to say. It's terrible.
The next team I'm giving a solid A to, and that's the Miami Dolphins. Waddle's a good pick. Phillips is a good pick. I love Holland in the second, and I love Eichenberg. Like, their first 4 picks, I was like, all of these picks, like, because they get Eichenberg in the second, it's like, all right, that's why they didn't need to go Sewell in the first. All right, they go with people are like, oh, they're going to go secondary here with 18. Oh, they're going to go tackle. No, they're not. They're going to go with the edge rusher. They get 2 great, not great, maybe good to great defensive picks. They get the number 1 wide receiver in the class, plus a linebacker later on. Like, I have no complaints with Miami's draft, and I feel like if you're a Miami Dolphin fan, you should be happy with the draft that they had in 2021.
Yeah, Fred is very happy, I can confirm. This is one of the drafts that I loved. I talked about Liam Eichenberg leading up to the draft. I said that he's a steal if he gets to the second round. I give it an A. I think they had one of the best drafts. I love Jalen Phillips, Jalen Waddle. We spoke countless times about how we thought he has the highest end as a wide receiver in this draft. And Eichenberg, and Javon Holland, I love all the picks.
Jake, now we get to my team, the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm giving them a solid B. Like, they didn't do anything to get an A. Like, I love what they did in the first round, trading back, getting picks, taking an offensive tackle. I like Wyatt Davis later on. I think he's going to be a good third-round pick. I also like Patrick Jones, the second out of Pittsburgh that we got in the third. The thing I love most, though, is trading up for Kellen Mond. And the reason why I love this is, what did you say about Kellen Mond to me? How many years is he going to need?
1, 2.
That's perfect. You want to know why?
Because Kirk Cousins' contract.
He's got 2 years. Like, that's the thing. I feel like this matches up perfectly with Kirk Cousins to where it's like, we're not going to be able to trade Kirk. We're not going to cut him before the contract's over. This basically says to me, hey, guys, we have a plan. We've got a quarterback we are actually going to develop. This isn't like that kid we drafted out of Wisconsin. I think his name was like Stanley or something. And then we're going to cut him. Or, the kid out of Northwestern, we're just going to cut him. This is a quarterback we can actually, he can actually learn. Like, Kirk Cousins isn't a douchebag. Like, Kirk is going to help him. Plus, he's got a wide receiver room there. Him and JJ can kind of build some rapport as young guys on the team. I feel like Kellen Mond gets his start year 3. So this will be year 1, then year 2. In year 3, Kellen Mond will be the starter for the Vikings, and I can't wait to see what he develops into. I'm just, I find it kind of funny that Dave's boy did not go to the Bears, and he went to the Vikings.
Love it. Yeah, I would be right on line with you. I'd give him a B+. I think Kellen Mond, a lot of the deficiencies he have in this game is what Kirk Cousins excels at, so I'm interested to see how he helps him build. And it can't be worse than Christian Ponder. So I think that you covered
Ponder.
Yeah, well, hey, you covered most of what it is in Minnesota. They had a solid draft. I think they did very well.
What about the Patriots?
See, Ricky, I'm conflicted here. I think Mac Jones is a perfect fit in New England. I think at 15 was very good value to pick him. Christian Barmore in the second round, very good value to pick him. I give him a B+. I think they did very well. They didn't non-Patriots who were trading up. They stayed right where they were and got their quarterback, it was definitely an upgrade on Cam Newton. Christian Barmore, solid pick. I like Cameron McGrone in the fifth. I think it's just a very solid draft.
Part of me wants to go like B-, C+, to where it's like, Mac Jones, I'm not high on, but I get it. They need a quarterback. And you're right. He's probably going to fit in with New England. Barmore, I love that pick more than I love the Mac Jones pick. But, like, you look at what they took, it was kind of like a mixture of offense and defense. And if you're New England, you're just trusting Bill Belichick. You're like, Bill Belichick knows what he's fucking doing. He knows the guys that he's going to go ahead and draft. Like, it's hard to sit there and go, yeah, New England doesn't know what the F they're doing. Like, I kind of like, that's where I'm kind of leaning more B- than the C+. Jake, here's what we're going to do for this next team. I will let you talk for as long as you want, and then I'm just going to give a grade and we'll move on. Because this is your team, the New Orleans Saints.
New Orleans Saints, if you were watching the live stream, I said we're going to end up with some edge rusher like Peyton Turner. And, Saints first overall and 20th pick took Peyton Turner. So it didn't shock me. It was coming out. But the rest of the draft made it make a lot more sense. Pete Werner attacked the exact linebacker need they had. Very good coverage linebacker who has the ability to work downhill and can play the mic. So I like that pick a lot. Paulson Adebo, very good corner, is a big project corner. I think it's a great pick, though. Ian Book was a question mark, but if you look at a lot of the
the next Taysom Hill, baby.
I don't think it's Taysom Hill. If Patriot fans want to throw out that Mac Jones is the next Tom Brady, I can throw out that Ian Book has the same peripherals as Drew Brees. Yeah. So do I think he's Drew Brees? No. But I also like Quan Baker in the 7th round. I gave it a C+. I think it's an all right draft. I think it's a lot of questionable upside, which is what I love. I love project picks, and I think Peyton Turner has the ability to come in and compete with Marcus Davenport right away. So I think it's an all right draft. I don't think it's anything great. Don't think it's anything terrible.
I get getting your guy, but because of that first-round pick, I know that you sold yourself on the pick, but because of that alone, I'd go like C-, C-. But who knows? He could turn out to be like the best player in the draft, and then boom, that C is blown out of the water. Next team, I'm going to be a little biased here, Jake. I'm giving the Steelers a B+. Najee Harris, I like him, although do I think they should have went him at 24? No. Freiermuth, I think, is I like Freiermuth. Yet again, should they have gone something else? Maybe. Quincy Roche in the 6th round, or Roche. He was somebody that I thought would be in the 2nd, 3rd round, maybe even late 1st round. I love that pick. And then also Kendrick Green, man. If you take an Illinois Fighting Illini, you're going to get a positive grade out of Ricky. That's where my bias comes in. They go with the Illinois boy and Green. Got to go with a B-, right?
D+. They didn't attack any of their needs, taking a running back in the 1st round. As I love Najee Harris. I've talked multiple times about how much I love Najee Harris. It's a terrible pick when you know offensive line, your secondary is pretty thin, your linebacking core is thin, your edge rushers are thin, your wide receivers are thin, and your quarterback's 36 and aging. So they had a ton of needs, and they took a running back. This organization continues to put off a rebuild that is coming, and they'll win 8 or 9 games this year. Yeah. They will win some games. It's just they continue to ignore your needs. It's what the Steelers do.
We got 5 teams left. Seattle Seahawks. They only had 3 picks. That's why I kind of want to just give them like a C-.
I'll give him a C. Yeah, just C. Yeah,
it's like you only had 3 picks. I get why, but it's just like there's not a lot to go off of. The 49ers, you get at least a B for not fucking up the 3rd pick. If you would have went Mac Jones, this would have changed everything. But like they took at least 2 guys I like. Trey Lance, I think it's gonna go at the end of the draft class. We're gonna have Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance. All of those will be good. I think the quarterback that it's either Fields or Jones will be the one of the 1st round that doesn't pan out. It's going to be one of those. I think the top 3 quarterbacks all pan out. I love Lance to that team. Trey Sermon in the 3rd. I also love him. That's why I kind of want to just give the 49ers a B. They took the right quarterback. They got some good picks later on. Even Thomas, the cornerback out of Michigan, I like.
I give him a C+. I think it was all right. Trey Lance, I think, has the most bust potential out of the top 5 quarterbacks. So it's going to be interesting to see how he develops. I think it was an all right draft. I think they did end up making – I think they should have taken Justin Fields. I know, harp on it, shocker. But I think Trey Lance is all right. I'm glad they didn't take Mac Jones. I think it's all right. I think it's just an ant draft. We'll see how Trey Lance works out.
Here's my question for you about the next team. Is Kyle Trask the successor to Tom Brady?
I guess. I mean,
I love that he went to somewhere in Florida, though. I love that he's staying in the state of Florida.
Yeah, and I even like Joe Tyron, their 1st round pick. I know that people thought it was a reach, but this is why I think that teams have different grades on edge rushers, mostly edge rushers, than we do. Because Peyton Turner was apparently the guy the Bucs were also strongly looking at, and they ended up with Tyron because the Saints took Turner. So I think it's all right. I give him a B-. I think Trask's gonna be interesting to see how he develops. I think he probably develops into a borderline starting quarterback at his best, which is maybe what they want to. He'll be the bridge quarterback after Brady retires because he is 43. Remember that.
He is 43. Like, you never thought you'd have to remind people about how old Tom Brady is.
It's ridiculous.
But the last 2 teams, first off the Titans, I'm going to give them a solid B. If I didn't say Tampa Bay, about a B-. Like B-, not a bad draft. The Titans are a B. mainly on their first 2 picks alone. Like, Caleb Farley falls into their lap at 22. He should have went higher. And Dylan Radins, where I like Dylan. Dylan tackle out of North Dakota State. I think he was fringe first round, early second. You get both these guys. They should have been like at least middle of their round, and you get them outside of the middle towards the end at 22 and 21 in the first and the second.
Well, Ravens can't be worse than Isaiah Wilson, who they took in the first round last year. So he played 3 offensive snaps last year, and they were all kneel down. So I think that they had a solid draft. I'd probably stick on the B- part. I think I was very high on Caleb Farley. I'm glad they took him at 22. I think he has incredible upside as long as he can stay healthy. Dylan Radins, again, most people had a borderline first round grade on him. So I think it's a solid draft. Again, the Titans are another team that drafts somewhat well, usually year in and year out. So I would think it was solid.
I am going to use your grade for the last team to determine what I want to give them. Washington, go.
B+. I think it was a very solid draft. I really like Jamin Davis. He has incredible speed to work on at a linebacking core. I like Sam Cosmi at 51. I think it's good value. I think Brown out of North Carolina is a very solid pick in the 3rd round. And I really like, and you know why they're getting a B+? Because they took a Penn State guy, Shaka Toney, at 246. So I honestly like their draft. I think it's solid. Again, no quarterback. Little question mark if they could have traded up and taken Fields instead of not letting the Bears do it. So I think it's
Fields guy, man. Like,
when he turns out to be a stud, I'm just going to take a victory lap after victory lap.
And what if he turns out to be a bust? What are you going to do? We'll never hear from it because Jake will be like, "Nah, I wasn't high on him."
I don't know what you're talking about.
We got receipts, motherfucker. I see with me. I guess I'll give him a B. This was the draft where it's like, I'm like, oh, they should have taken Taven Jenkins. Oh, but they got Samuel Cosmi in the second. Yeah. Like I was like, oh, they should have went offensive tackle. But I was like, oh, but they got him later on. Like, they got a wide receiver. Like, they hit needs, and like that's why I'll just a B. A B isn't that bad. For the Washington football team, like, yet again, Davis, people are high on him. I don't know. I probably would have went tackle if it was me. Some of these teams are smarter than me. However, correct. A lot of teams are smarter than Mike Mayock, and as long as I'm smarter than Mike Mayock, I can tip my cap and be basically hold a candle to NFL GMs. Last question I want to ask you, and this is a question that I'm glad. Nothing against Dave. Sorry, Dave. But for the reason I'm asking this question, I'm glad I'm on with you because Dave would not touch this question with a fucking 100-foot pole. So right. The one thing I read is that Deion Sanders is furious about the draft this year because there was no players taken in this draft this year from the like historical black colleges. What are they? The HBCUs. Yeah. Is this, like, to me, yet again, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, this is Ricky being woke, but it's a question I feel like needs to be asked. Should Deion Sanders be upset about this? Because in your mind, is this a NFL GMs and scouts are disregarding these schools, or was it just this year there was nobody from these schools that were worth taking in the NFL draft?
My question: did those schools hold pro days? That would be my question.
See, that's the thing. That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not privy enough.
Because this year is a weird year with COVID and everything. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm privy enough to that situation to make a educated answer. I don't know if I'd be too worried about it. I think if there's a good enough prospect, they will always be taken when there's 7 rounds in the NFL draft. Yeah. Maybe they didn't have correct medical information or something like that. If I'm wrong, then I admit I'm wrong in this situation. I don't know enough to be educated. I think it's a good question and a good conversation to have, though, once we actually get facts about it.
I'm happy you brought up that point, though. Like, because my whole thing, I'll just say this, is my first thought was, well, just because you, like, he was like, I've worked with these kids and they're totally draftable. It's like, yeah, but if they, depending on how they're ranked on GM's boards, every draft is different. Like, it would be weird if it's like, the thing I wanted to know is, let's go back through the last couple of drafts and see how many have been taken in each draft. Because if it's like 1, 2, 0, 2, 1, okay, maybe we have a conversation here. But like you brought up, COVID fucked everything up. We were already talking about with the normal prospects, how pro days were different. They couldn't have the same one-on-one time, and interviews were different. There was obviously the combine was changed this year. maybe that plays into it. Did not think about that. Obviously, you guys let us know what you guys think down below. I just saw that and I was like, I want to bring it up because it is a conversation or a thought bubble that I wanted to throw out there. But that's going to do it for our draft grades. This is always a tricky one to do because it's like there's 32 teams and like early on it's like if we keep talking for 5 minutes on teams, we're going to go for 3 hours.
We're going to be here for 3 hours.
That's why later on it's like, okay, a little bit of a rapid session after we kept going. But remember, join the Discord if you want to keep the conversation going. Everyone from the MVP community is in there. Link down below or exclamation Discord on Twitch. The gears are not turning so well.
And you also didn't mention that we're not live when you're showing this show.
No, we're not. So sorry, Twitch chat. Sorry, Twitch chat. I did not mention that today. We are not ignoring you. We are just not live today because Jake texted me literally as I was waking up. So he texted me as I'm waking up. Oh, shoot, I forgot. I got a family birthday party tonight. And then he's like, can we do noon your time? And at first I'm like, yeah. And then as soon as you went, okay, I can do between 1 and 3, I was like, well, let's do 1 my time because I wanted that extra hour to just lay in my bed and like casually like to get the brain like waking up fully. I really needed that, or else I would have just been like, a B. I'm fine with B. But if you want to support us, patreon.com/MVP-vids. So you can throw us a sub on Twitch. We are live on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVP-vids. We're also on YouTube at MVP Sports. Tomorrow, we're back to the NBA. Daves and Soaps will be being here. Yesterday, they just talked about the draft, right?
I believe so. I think they might have touched on LeBron, but that was it.
Well, they'll talk about more. The draft tomorrow is the Pacers. Soapy, just to spoil he made the joke to me of like, great, I can't wait to talk about them trading the pick because their team is garbage. But that's going to do it for us. NBA tomorrow.
Besides TJ McConnell, watch your mouth, Soapy.
Is he on a contract, though? He's contract here, right?
Yeah, besides O'Shea Brissett and TJ McConnell, watch your mouth.
No, not Karis LeVert.
No, Syracuse alum O'Shea Brissett and process legend TJ McConnell, watch your mouth.
Man. That's going to do it for MVP Sports today. Thank you guys for being as great as you always are. And as always, have a good day, everybody.